Hello and welcome to Sanatan Divyata, Eternal Divinity, and I am Padam Gupta. In a series of Swami Vivekanand, his life and legacy, we continue with life as a wandering ascetic. In a short history of Swami's life like this, it is not possible to give a full account of these travels. We shall therefore give only a few striking events from his experiences. At Gazipur, not far from Allahabad, he met the saintly ascetic Pabhari Baba who impressed him very much. Besides being learned, the Babas were very austere in his life, subsisting on practically no food so that people called him the father who subsists on air. He was a master of Hatha Yoga and Raj Yoga. Swamiji was at that time suffering from various ailments, and so he thought he would learn Hatha Yoga from the Baba so that he might free his body from diseases. A day was fixed for initiation, but to put it in own words, on the eve of the day on which I was to take initiation, I was laying on a cot thinking, and just then I saw the form of Sri Ramakrishna standing on my right, looking steadfastly at me, as if very much grieved. I have dedicated my life to him, and at the thought that I was thinking another Guru, I felt much ashamed and kept looking at him. Perhaps 2 or 3 hours passed, but no words escaped my mouth. Then he disappeared all of a sudden. Being upset in mind, the Swami did not take the initiation that day. A day or two later, again he thought of initiation, but the experience of the previous night repeated itself. Thus he had the vision of Sri Ramakrishna on successive days whenever the thought of taking initiation from Pabhari Baba came to his mind. So he gave up the idea completely. But he had a very great respect for the Baba, which is reflected in one of full essay written by him later on getting the news of Baba's passing away. Another noteworthy incident of his wandering days took place at Alwar. During these wanderings, Swami mixed with all strata of society, from the princess to the peasant. Whenever he reached a place, before long, he came to the notice of important people of that place and received their hospitality. Thus at Alwar he came to be known to the Diwan of the state, who introduced the Swamiji to the Maharaja. The prince was very much anglicized in his views and manners and held many of the Hindu religious practice in contempt. Once the Maharaja raised the topic of image worship, with Swami spoke despairingly about the practice, then Swami kept silent for some time and then asked the Diwan, pointing to an oil painting of Maharaja on the wall of the Darbar hall, "Whose picture is this?" On receiving the reply that it was the Maharaja's, he asked the Diwan to take it down and spit on it. Struck with surprise and awe, the Diwan exclaimed how he could do such an act insulting to the Maharaja. The Swami thereupon asked him how it would be an insult to the Maharaja, since the picture was the only some canvas and paint. Then turning to Maharaja, he pointed out that just as his picture, though it was not himself, was by association of ideas so intimately identical with him, so was a divine image or a reveal of the deity to a believing devotee. And it is that deity he worshipped and not mere mud or stone. The very vivid and dramatic way in which the Swami drove home the point into Maharaja's mind made it a turning point in the religious views of the prince. Still another striking incident took place while the Swami was staying with the Maharaja of Khetri, who had become a great admirer and a disciple of his. One evening, a Nach girl was holding a musical concert for the entertainment of the Maharaja. The Swami, who was lodged in a nearby camp, was invited by the Maharaja to hear the music. But he sent word that, being a sannyasin, he would not like to hear a Nach girl sing. This wounded the feeling of that girl, and she, in reply to the Swami, as it were, sang a song of Surdas, which ran as follows: O Lord, look upon my evil qualities. Thou art, O Lord, called the same-sighted. One piece of iron is in the image of the temple, and another knife in the hand of a virgin. So when they touch the philosopher's stone, both alike turn into gold. So Lord, look upon my evil qualities. In the stillness of the evening, the voice of the deeply hurt girl reached the ears of the Swami and caused a revolution of feeling in his mind, opening his eyes to the great truth which he was preaching but which he seemed to have forgotten. This is reminiscent of the story of Sri Shankaracharya, life of the Chandala, with a pack of dogs teaching Sankara a lesson on the unaffections of all pervading Brahman. Another striking incident took place when the Swami was travelling in Tari Ghat, now in Uttar Pradesh. On a blazing day, he was travelling in a third-class compartment with a ticket which someone had provided with him. He got down at Tari Ghat station and he was not allowed by the porter to sit in the station yard. He sat outside the shed on the ground, leaning against a pillar of the shed. Just opposite to him, within the shed, was sitting a baniya or trader on a cotton seat. He had been travelling the same compartment with the Swami on the previous night and knew that the Swami had nothing to eat for the whole time and could not get even a glass of water to quench his thirst. As he had no money, the baniya, who had a poor opinion of sannyasi, now began to taunt the Swami while he himself was eating puris and drinking cool water, saying, "My good man, look at me. I am eating and drinking while you are sitting all the while starving and thirsty. Why don't you earn money as I do and have these good things?" While this discourse was going on, there appeared on a scene a local man with a bundle and a pot of water. Spreading his seat and arranging water in a cup and some puris on a leaf plate, he invited the Swami in all humility to partake of the fare. The Swami was very much puzzled and told the man that he must have some other person in mind and has mistaken him to be that one. "No, no," said the man. "I am commanded by Sri Ramji to bring these to you. I was sleeping after my lunch when I had a dream in which Ramji appeared to me and pointed to you, asked me to bring you food and drink. Considering it to be a dream only, I turned aside and slept again. Again Ramji appeared, actually pushed me and said the same as before. So I have bought all these. You are really the person whom Ramji showed me in dream. Now Babaji, come and have your meal." The jeering baniya, who witnessed all this, begged the Swami to pardon him for the impudent behavior and took the dust off his feet. The Swami life as a wandering monk is replicated with many such incidents which give both instruction and inspiration to a close student. This was the period during which the great spiritual aspirant of Dakshineshwar, whose one ideal was to be immersed always in samadhi, gradually grew into that mighty tree as his master wanted, fit to give shelter to numerous wayfarers on the desert paths of life, into the great Swami Vivekanand, the passionate lover of India and the friend of the poor and the downtrodden. Swami Vivekanand, the preacher of the practical Vedanta and doctrine of Sarvamukti. It was the period during which he mixed intimately with all classes of India, the princes and the peasant, the pandits and the ignorant, and got a first-hand knowledge of the lives and cultures of the various types of people inhabiting this vast subcontinent from Himalaya down to Kanyakumari. It was the experience of the period that made the suffering of millions pulsate through his veins, and on the eve of this departure to the west, made him declare like a Buddha reborn to Swami Turiyananda in a mood of extreme pathos. Hari Bhai, I am still unable to understand anything of your so-called religion, but my heart has expanded very much, and I have begun to feel, believe me, I'll feel intensively indeed. It is these wandering all over India, communicating with its people and the centers of its culture that help Narendra, the ascetic sannyasin and the ardent aspirant, to turn into Swami Vivekanand, the patriot, the humanist, and the worldwide preacher of Vedanta.